echoing that, saying this is a direct result of severe incitement and unprecedented riots organized by terrorists on US campuses, and adding, unfortunately, there were those who listened to the calls of intifada, even here. Though this is, on the other side, you had people pushing back against that connection, saying things like, one radical person going out and killing a Jewish diplomat does not mean this is a bigger issue revolving around all Palestine supporters. They have the right to protest, although it is annoying if it affects your daily life, but it is their constitutional right. But then with that, we've also seen Israeli officials connecting what happened last night to the growing criticism of the war, not just from student protesters, but from European leaders. For example, the country's foreign minister is saying this is the direct result of toxic anti-Semitic incitement against Israel and Jews around the world that has been going on since the October 7th massacre, and adding, this incitement is also done by leaders and officials of many countries and organizations, especially from Europe. And while he didn't specify which leaders or officials he had in mind, the Minister for Diaspora Affairs, he issued a statement directly accusing the leaders of the UK, France, and Canada of having emboldened the forces of terror. And as far as why those three countries specifically are being called out, it might be because earlier this week they signed an unprecedented joint statement calling on the Israeli government to stop its military operations and, quote, immediately allow humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. And this as they warned of possible concrete actions against the country if it continued what they described as egregious expansion of military operations in the territory. And then on top of that, you had the UK saying that it would be suspending trade talks with Israel over the country's morally unjustifiable military escalation in Gaza, with them also issuing sanctions against several prominent Israeli settlers and settler-linked groups. And then separately, the EU's foreign policy chief announcing that the bloc would be reviewing its trade deal with Israel, with them citing a part of their agreement specifying that all signatories must show respect for human rights and democratic principles. And notably, just a day after that, you had Israeli soldiers almost taking out European diplomats visiting the West Bank. 25 diplomats were visiting from 31 countries, including Italy, Canada, Egypt, Jordan, the UK, China, and Russia, with the Israeli military saying the visit had been approved, but the delegation deviated from the approved route, and so Israeli soldiers fired warning shots to distance them from the area, with them then adding that the senior officials would contact diplomats to inform them of the results of its internal investigation into the incident and that it regretted what it called the inconvenience caused. But of course, the leaders of those countries, they said that, getting shot at, it was a little more than just an inconvenience, them condemning the incident and demanding answers. And so while it was, somewhat unconnected to the situation in Gaza, it's just one more thing that's adding to the tensions between Israel and Europe. And then beyond that, there are a growing number of voices within Israel that are speaking out against the war in Gaza in general, but also in connection with yesterday's attack in DC. With, for example, an ex-Israeli general who now leads a major opposition party blaming Netanyahu's right-wing government for fueling anti-Semitism and hatred of Israel, saying a sane state does not wage war against civilians, does not kill babies as a hobby, and does not set itself the goal of depopulating the population. And then adding, the result is unprecedented political isolation and danger to every Jew in every corner of the globe. Though then you had far-right ministers and others actually then blaming the opposition leader for inciting anti-Semitism with comments like that, and one saying, the blood of the embassy employees is on your hands and on those of your friends. But also, notably, you had others backing him up. And those voices including a former Israeli Minister of Defense and IDF Chief of Staff who took it even further, saying this is not a hobby but a government policy whose ultimate goal is to hold on to power, and it is leading us to destruction. But then, with all that, the Israeli government has given every indication that there's just nothing anyone can do or say to stop them. But as we talked about just a few days ago, you had the military announcing what it called extensive ground operations, and Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu claiming that the military will take, quote, full control over the whole of Gaza. And just today, it issued an evacuation warning for 14 neighborhoods of northern Gaza, all while strikes have reportedly killed at least 52 people since the morning, which means reportedly there are roughly 3,600 people that have been killed since Israel resumed strikes on March 18th after that failed ceasefire, which then takes the war's overall toll to almost 54,000, which is mostly civilians. And that, of course, is just the direct death toll, with many fearing that the dire humanitarian situation means that the true number is ultimately much, much higher. Which, on that note, over the weekend, Israel agreed to allow what it called a basic amount of food to enter Gaza, partially ending its 11-week blockade, with then 93 trucks reportedly entering the enclave on Tuesday carrying aid, including flour, baby food, medical equipment, and pharmaceutical drugs. Though this notably is you have UN bodies estimating that 600 trucks a day are required to even begin tackling Gaza's chronic humanitarian crisis. And even so, at least as of yesterday, you had the UN claiming that none of the aid from the 93 had actually been distributed. And this, of course, as UN experts say that Gazans are at a critical risk of famine and that tens of thousands of children could suffer from acute malnutrition if the restrictions continue, with now even chronic water shortages worsening as desalination and hygiene plants are running out of fuel, which then ties to reports that the children of Gaza have reportedly grown used to drinking salty water, and doctors saying that they're seeing a rise in serious kidney complaints. With all that, you have Netanyahu again repeating his intention to continue this war until Hamas is disarmed and all of Gaza is entirely under Israeli control. And this is, he now explicitly said this time that Israel will go ahead with Trump's plan for the territory, which if you don't remember, it involves apparently taking it over and turning it into the Riviera of the Middle East, which has widely been seen as essentially a call for forced displacement and ethnic cleansing in the name of real estate development. And that, as you had NBC recently reporting that the Trump administration is is working on a plan to permanently relocate up to 1 million Palestinians from Gaza to Libya. For now, kind of on all fronts, I know we've covered a lot of here. We're gonna have to wait to see what happens and what more we learn. But then, next up in the news, a very different story. Are people really being paid to rally support for Diddy outside of his trial? Because that is what many are now alleging, as people have been standing across the street from the courthouse in free Puff and free Diddy shirts. With, for example, journalist and content creator Emily Hagan posting a TikTok of this group of people in matching shirts that also then included this interaction.
These are all paid protesters. You can get $20 an hour if you wear a t-shirt.
You gotta speak up.
She just got recruited, right?
I refuse.
You said no.
No.
It wasn't worth the 20?
No, but like he told me that it's for a Diddy coin, so I'm not really sure what that is. The lady right there, she just kept convincing me to go wear a shirt, and I'm like, I'm ready.
And while that TikTok was initially posted around 5 days ago, it's now gotten a lot more traction as people like 50 Cent, who famously not a big Diddy fan, has started posting about it and trolling Diddy by posting seemingly edited images of him in the shirts and writing things like, okay, now where do I send my $20 invoice, guys? A deal's a deal. But then also the Daily Beast speaking to the woman in that video who told them, I was wondering why they were wearing those shirts. I was curious. I crossed the street and I'm standing there with my phone out, and then this older lady is staring at me. She's just staring at me for a period of time. Then she tells me, do you want to come out here and wear a shirt for $20 an hour? And adding, just go to that guy. If you're already standing out here, you may as well get paid. Rather than adding that it looked like most of those protesters appear to be unhoused. But as far as how people allegedly started getting paid to wear these shirts, well, you had the Hollywood Reporter saying that the first free Puff shirt was first present at the trial during the jury selection when one of Diddy's longtime friends was wearing one. But then other than that, the outlet said that these groups of Diddy supporters, they're scarce at the courthouse. So this newfound gaggle of people wearing shirts, it really stands out. And then the fact that the girl in the video said that she was told it was for a crypto promotion, that's significant because there is a Diddy meme coin, and reportedly the rapper's sons are behind it. Or with the Hollywood Reporter saying that the coin was launched to capitalize on the controversy and trial, and it began trading during jury selection, and it's gotten public support from people like Kanye West. Also, I'll say the outlet said they reached out to Diddy's team to ask if he had any involvement in the t-shirts or any comment on them, and so far they haven't responded. Similarly, you had the Daily Beast reporting that it's unclear exactly who's paying anyone to wear these shirts, if that is indeed the case. With them also adding that because of the crypto claims, it seems like this may be kind of more of a cash grab than an ego boost for Diddy. But then also, some think, why not both? And all of this, of course, it comes as this high-stakes trial is continuing to play out with, in fact, today, Kid Cudi taking to the stand to testify comparing Diddy to a Marvel supervillain. And as far as how he's mixed up in all this, he briefly dated Cassie Ventura, who's Diddy's ex and the main witness of the trial. And actually connected to this, last week during her testimony, she actually said that Diddy was furious when he found out that she had dated Kid Cudi and threatened to blow up his car. And today, he actually talked about that, saying that one day back in December of 2011, he got a panic call from Cassie telling him that Diddy had found out about their relationship, and after he went to pick her up, he got another call from one of Diddy's employees claiming that Diddy had broken into his house. Or with Diddy also allegedly telling him that he was at the house waiting for him, but when he got there was no Diddy to be found, and instead, the Christmas presents that he got for his family had been opened and his dog was locked in a bathroom. Right? And so he was unsure of what was going on. He then called police, and then a few weeks after that, his Porsche was destroyed by a fire while parked outside of his home in the Hollywood Hills. Right? And so with all that, you have places like the New York Times reporting that this testimony is viewed as an important part of the government's narrative in the trial. But then also you have places like the Washington Post adding that the defense is trying to use it to question the character of the prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, by painting her as kind of leading on and playing both Diddy and Kid Cudi. But for now, the trial continues. We'll have to see what happens there. But in the meantime, I'd love to know your thoughts regarding the Diddy shirts. But then I've got more news for you, but gonna take a minute to pay some bills and thank the sponsor and say, it's been truly awesome seeing you beautiful bastards win the $500 SeatGeek weekly giveaway and use it to hit up concerts, games, Broadway shows. Just y'all living your best lives. And listen, the lineup right now, it's stacked. Kendrick Lamar, SZA, Tyler the Creator, Post Malone, Beyonce, Chris Stapleton. It's a great time for live events. And if you haven't entered yet, what are you even doing? It takes 2 seconds and next week's $500 winner could be you. Right? And for the uninitiated, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app with over 28 million downloads, and they've got tickets to over 70,000 events, sports, music, comedy, theater, you name it. And so for first timers, just download the app, scan the QR code or hit the link in the description and use code PHIL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. And then, and this is key, y'all, add code PDS to your SeatGeek account, because it gets you $10 off any ticket and enters you in for your chance to win the weekly $500 giveaway, no purchase required. Right, so if you've used SeatGeek before, you're a SeatGeek vet, that applies to you too. You just add code PDS to your account and you're in. Again, just scan the QR code or click the link below and use code PHIL and PDS and go make some memories. And then Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill just passed and people are freaking the hell out for a number of reasons. Starting with the fact that the bill passed by the slimmest possible margin of 215 to 214, a vote that was made possible by the fact that the Democrats in the House have 3 vacant seats because their members died recently. The most recent being Jerry Connolly, who died yesterday in the